Okay, this is another short episode. I just see some stuff, sometimes recommended to me, or I just think about it on YouTube, or I just see things some other way, and it just becomes a topic. So basically, I'm not trying to scare you, obviously, but I still want to remind you how evil is obviously very close to you more than you think it is, and to obviously always be smart. Um, Take precautions, not just in situations humans usually remind you of, right? But in situations they rarely do, which is romantic relationships. The fact that even if it's not a relationship, but humans fool around and go around weird strangers, um, right, or the opposite gender, they do things with them. Just know, not only is that perversion of homosexuality and others things that someone can hide from others, but just the idea of just perversion overall, evil overall, it likes to hide. That's the psychology that I always teach you guys as to the psychology of evil. It hides. It doesn't obviously want you to know. Is that backstabber, fake friend gonna tell you they're backstabber? No, right? Because in their mind, they can't harm your life if you know, correct? Okay, so that's why they really hide. So obviously, bad humans like to go after the opposite gender, right? Who obviously are bad human beings who have bad hearts and have bad intentions, and they're not gonna obviously tell you, right, who they are, and they're not gonna stay where they belong. They're not gonna go to humans like them and just treat each other morally. Instead, they're gonna do exactly what you think they would do: go after people that are better than them, go after people who are innocent and would never harm others, etc. Okay, so there's obviously a specific demographic of that in both genders who just, right, want to go um, cause problems for the opposite gender, in the sense that they're perverted and strange and weird, like, for example, homosexuals, or maybe, okay, let me get to the point. Basically, you can contract very disgusting and creepy diseases, not just regular disease. Very nasty, disgusting, creepy diseases that God Almighty in actual human history created as a punishment for humans who are homosexuals and others, who are similar in that sense. They go out of nature. Okay, so for that reason, they're going to go around, correct, and go to the opposite gender and now give them that HIV or the STD or whatever. And it's just become so normalized in society, like it's some cancer or something. No, these diseases, you know what I mean? For example, like HIV, let me be specific. They really are there as a punishment because you're filthy and you're doing perversion to yourself and with another weirdo. So for that reason, you get me, because those humans are evil. They're not going to tell you that they have a disease. They're not going to tell you, even if they don't know, maybe, that they do those things. So that's why they can't ever be like, oh, we don't want to hurt people. No, yes, you do, because you don't tell people what you do. That's the way to know your intention, you know? Or maybe they didn't do something big, but they at least have done something filthy and strange and nasty and weird, like what homosexuals do. And they just, they do things with feces and urine, and basically it's just destruction to every part of the nature. So yeah, some of them is going to act interested in you, a healthy person over here. They're going to act like they want to date you or marry you. And I just want to remind you guys of that risk, just on a typical day-to-day human life basis. First, judge people's character. You have to judge their morality. What do they do? Are they perverted? What the hell do they agree with? Who are they voting for? Two, exactly, the actual health, like, obviously people don't do what God wants and get married, right? They date. But, I'm just telling you, right? Before a human being is sexual with you, you obviously want to first get checkups and both physically be there to see what the doctor's results are. You don't want them to just tell you, yeah, I went for a check. Well, why would you trust that? You're human. People can lie to you. I'm not trying to scare you, right? But it's just that every day you see people dating, chilling, laughing, smiling. You see people married, yay, yay, yay. But you didn't follow them. A lot of them have had, right, many horrible situations happen. Someone cheated on them. Someone gave them disease. Someone abused the child they had together, or raped the kid. Or Humans are not gonna, right? You're not gonna like have someone follow up with you on a wedding video they posted and tell you the horrible things that happen afterwards. Right? That's not their nature. That moment they're happy, they post it, they share it, they tell you it's gone. Okay, one day they're part of that sad statistic of something horrible happening to them. Okay, you don't know. One day somewhere else you hear about that statistic. Okay, but you don't connect it to that person, right? So you think they're sort of separate, you know? We all know bad things happening to people, but we separate them from the average person in society, correct? Like that. We should connect it to them and realize that a lot of them are suffering. They're just not going to tell us, you know? So that then you think it's closer to you. So you might be like, okay, what's your point? My point is so that you see that suffering you already know about, so that you see that as something close to you. It can come at you at any time instead of far away, which is what a statistic makes you feel like it's far away from you, you know? And some people, they know that human they're with, right? The opposite gender. They know. I've seen documentaries on these humans who literally know their spouse has that weird disease or whatever, but they still knowingly go to them and stuff. So some people are so evil that they don't leave you. They don't protect themselves, even though they know you have that disease. And they say things like, oh, this wife knowingly let her husband give her HIV like that, right? You don't think that's even out there. Someone who knowingly puts themselves in that situation instead of, right, not touching them since they have a disease. Weird humans obviously are out there. They're humans who allow themselves to be raped and molested. They're humans who allow themselves to be violated and harmed. So obviously that type of evil is out there, you know, of allowing horrible things to happen to you. And that obviously fits the homosexuals. They're the ones allowing themselves to be raped by another filthy weirdo like themselves. They're killing each other in every aspect. So guess what the devil did, since he hates that? He hates something evil being seen as evil, correct? He likes to blur it. So, right, he likes to call good evil and vice versa. So he obviously took these humans who God was punishing with these diseases, right, meant for these perversions and immoralities. Then he made them go to the opposite gender. You get me? And then that normal, healthy person of the opposite gender now has HIV, but they're not a homosexual. They didn't do something filthy to get it. This evil one violated their rights in their body. Then now it spreads, right? A statistics comes out. Oh, that anybody has HIV now. It's possible. It's like cancer. See, he's ruining the system God created, right? Where you would know those diseases belong to specific perversions. That would also help human beings who like to that would help human beings who want to fight against those who call these perversions normal, right? You who's fighting against them, arguing against them, it would help you to use that as a weapon and be like, hey, God gives you this disease. Specifically when you do these behaviors, when you know, allow each other to violate each other's body. So therefore, that's his punishment. That's his curse. So obviously, you're not going to accuse God of making you that way. You get me? That would be a way for you to defend yourself one more little way. One more sort of extra argument against them. And because the devil knows that, he blurred it. He made the humans who have a disease because of a sin against God go around and spreading it to others who didn't do that sin. So now they can make it seem as if that disease doesn't connect to their sin. You get me? Okay, so that's another thing he did. So that ruins morality. But two, that means, yeah, they're very close to you. You could just go to a club or bar. The opposite gender could come to you, right? I'm talking about like healthy ones, like the same age group as you, not more than 5 years. Otherwise, if it's more than that, you're in another perversion, you know, like age perversion. But this obviously is a sin for you to do things like that, you know, outside of marriage. So what I'm saying is, right, that's obviously what just the average human does today. Technically, except Muslims. Obviously, Muslims sin and do this too, but it's not normal for them. They don't normalize it. Okay, so yeah, you're all doomed basically. You're just going into the hotel room or whatever. You guys all do these things. And you don't know what this human was doing with their body or their private parts all their life. You know? It's just God protects you in many ways. But if we had to be fair, right? If we had to really look at the numbers, there's a lot of perverted humans who just go around doing things that would normally cause you disease and dangerous things. And it's like you just passed a bullet. Doesn't mean it wouldn't have hit you. So you don't want to then ignore the bullet was coming at you just because maybe you got saved. Just because, right, maybe there was a condom used and who knows, maybe that prevented something. You don't want to forget the risk was there. I'm not trying to scare you. Ask God to guide you and find your spouse and get married and leave these fornications. But I'm saying, actually hold each other accountable. Don't let the devil put that into your mind that somehow you're right attacking each other. If you ask each other these sort of questions in an interrogative way, you should interrogate each other, because your life, your health, your body, your honor is on the line. You're sharing your body with this person, so you need to know everything they've done. You need to be okay with it. Maybe you don't want to marry them now. It's a sin to hide it from people, what you've done. The corruption in Islam, many times, the preachers in Islam like to tell people, oh, if you committed zina before, which means sex before marriage, you don't really have to tell a spouse if you don't want to. Like, they always like to act like it's your sin. It's your little history. You can keep it to yourself. No, it's a sin for you to hide from someone who's going to be that intimate with you what the hell you did with your body. They have the right to know. You're touching them with the body you did things with, so they have the right to know. Don't even go there. Because the actual feeling that comes from a place of I don't have to tell them is the evidence you're an evil person. Because why are you hiding it if you don't have a bad intention? You have something to hide because you did bad things. You did things they wouldn't like. That's why many people, I see them always saying things like, oh, that person's a virgin, but they're not. They like them so much. They wish they didn't go around. And then they come up with the idea that they should hide it from them. And that person saved themselves, and as people like to say, because they're that moral person in their sexuality. They really want a healthy spouse. So you see, you're committing a sin against them because that's their value. So don't commit this sin against people. Just because humans have done it doesn't mean it's not a sin. Just because some of those humans become so dumb and forgive them doesn't mean that it's not a horrible thing to do to them. They just convince themselves to descend to that. But a righteous, a healthy, strong person is not going to descend to that. They have values. That's why it's a value. Why is something a value if I'm going to break my value? When we say forgive each other, we talk about the idea of forgiving as in like, you get me, like I just forgive you. It doesn't mean we're going to continue this relationship. You get me? That's not the same as what forgiveness means. Because what you've done is unacceptable. You have to separate. But obviously it's human. Get it? It's their choice. It's their choice if they want to continue these relationships when someone lied to them. I don't care. I'm not you. I'm just telling you, don't commit the sin against people. And stop going around and doing weird, filthy things. It could also be an infection, maybe not a disease, because maybe you don't wash your hands very well, or you don't wash your private parts very well. Obviously, you get infections from those things. People usually don't hide regular disease from you. Like if they have, let me come up with an example. What's a good example? I don't know. I can't think of anything. Just regular disease. Because you get me? There's no shame. That's how you know they're evil. Get it? That's the evidence that they're evil. That their reason is evil. Other than the fact that hiding things from people is already the first reason is evil. Because if you ask them if they have a cold, they don't mind telling you they have a cold. But why do they have a problem telling you they have HIV or they have herpes? Or why are you hiding that one? Because it's a shame. See? Of course, then it's a sin. Also, because of this. Your conscience knows it's wrong. You know that person is going to reject you if you tell them. So then you think you have the right to manipulate their choice? Lie to them, hide it, so they pick you? Is that not manipulating that human being, their rights, to pick who they want to be with? See, you chose them. Do you agree with me? No one manipulated your decision making. This is when I want to come after evil human beings. You made your choice, yes or no? No one forced you, no one pushed you, yes or no? Okay, so why are you taking away other people's choice? Just as you made the choice because you like this person, because, right, compared to you, they're better than you. Why don't they have the same right to make a choice of who they want just like you? Why you get to manipulate their choice by not telling them things about yourself? You like them because they have good sort of history. It doesn't matter. Obviously, people have committed this sin. Many of them have done sex before marriage. The average human, I know. But I'm talking about a situation where, specific by specific, right? Maybe this one's a virgin. Well, they deserve a virgin. Okay, but that human who's a virgin may not care. They might want someone who's not a virgin. You get me? I'm telling you what people's values are is what you need to judge. That's it. Just respect their values. Don't lie to them. Ask them what their values are. You tell them what your whatever values are. But in situations where it's not about values, it's actually about right versus wrong, of you hiding things that everyone has the right to know about you, who's going to be romantic with you or whatever you want to call it. I don't call it romantic. That's their human right. You get me? It's like giving someone food and not telling them the ingredients. Are you going to say that's normal? If you're the one who produced it, you're the farmer, you would say it's evil for you to not tell them what the hell you're giving them. So it's like that. Whatever their body comes in contact with, their life comes in contact with, just like even a job. You would say it's a sin, obviously, to lie to someone and be like, I'm hiring you for full-time, and they got part-time. See, you guys just the devil might try to trick you into thinking that's just mean or bad behavior. No, it's a sin. You lied to the person. So lying is a sin, correct? Okay, let's at least get that out of the way. I'm not talking necessarily about the lying. I mean, you desire them harm, obviously, because you know they're going to get a disease from you. You know, it doesn't matter, right? Okay, and then it's even more sin. Get it? The sin is more higher, is more evil. If the disease they're going to get from you is something related to perversion, and God, made you get that disease as your punishment, this person, not only, right, do they not deserve to get that disease? One, because, right, no one deserves to get to something, right, that comes from you, because that's your baggage. But two, they didn't commit that sin. So it's like you're accusing them of being a homosexual. If your wife gets HIV, when that belongs to homosexuals and you have it because you're a creepy male who went around doing that in your youth, and now you want to settle down. Maybe you repented. God, is calling you to change yourself. Okay. But first, get the health checkups. Make sure you're healthy. Goodness, don't kill people's health and bodies. Okay, and ask God to cure you, because obviously that's the best way to go about it too. He might also guide you to still go through the medical, even as you pray to him. You go to God for prayer, but also the physical human solutions he created, still his medical. Okay, when you're healthy, now you actually seek a spouse. Do you get me? First, do what's needed in order to then have the right to seek a spouse. If you're someone who wants to leave that lifestyle, you actually want to get married. But I'm talking about everybody who does sexual stuff, because I cannot convince everybody to leave that lifestyle. So you're committing a sin, but I'm telling you, you're committing another sin, right? You're committing a sin if you are sexual outside of marriage. But I'm telling you, you're committing another sin if you're not telling those people that you keep going around with of the opposite gender what the hell you do. They have the right to know. And it's another sin, third sin, if you actually have a disease and you know it, correct? And you don't tell them. Because that actually means you actually know they're going to get the disease, get it? Versus you just do weird things, but you didn't actually see that you have a disease. Okay, but when you do those weird things, the potential for you to get that disease is out there, correct? Yeah? Right? The potential is there. These things cause these diseases. You know what homosexuals get as diseases. That's what I'm saying. Even the potential is no different than when you actually know you have it. So you still have to assume you have it, get it? As long as you do that weird stuff. And lastly, obviously, homosexuals are possessed by the worst of demons, the most high level perverted demons, very dangerous. So for that reason, of course, they want to attack morality and act like normal, healthy couples have the same disease they have. And right, that's how they like to protect themselves, like I said earlier. When they're the ones who went around, you get me? Humans just like them went to a normal opposite gender. And right, went to them, and now that human got the disease that, was only meant for this homosexual. And then they're going to use that to insult. You get me? Normal people who are not like them, as if anyone can get this disease. No, you spread it around. So that's a sin on you. Because you know what you do. You have no right to go to healthy, normal people. You need to first repent and cleanse yourself, and then cleanse yourself in the health way. Get it? The actual medical. Because you're cleansing yourself morally. Okay, but you also need to cleanse yourself the health way. Your body needs to be healthy. Then you go seek someone romantically. What's wrong with common sense? Some of them are obviously they're perverted. So they might see someone of the opposite gender who's right, healthy and natural, and there you go. They just thinking to themselves that that person is obviously so great to be with. A desire to just sabotage their happiness with someone they deserve. They're just gonna go after this person that they don't have the right to act interested in. They obviously don't love or care about them because I just told you. You're not even pure morally. How can you love someone? But obviously it's your nature to go and be attracted to the opposite gender unrelated to you and that's not too old than you. So, okay, so even if you were to feel attraction, right, which is your nature in this case, goodness, right? If you have good intentions, then you would obviously do what I just told you, the cleansing, morally and health-wise. But that's not obviously who I'm talking about. I'm talking about humans who just go to them, who just try to pressure them to be sexual, who just, you're hurting that person and they don't deserve that. They didn't do the filth you do. So since they're perverts, they do exactly what perverts do. They seek people who they have no right to be acting interested in. You know, people who are not like them. Not just homosexuals. I'm just talking about perverts overall. Whether they go after kids or the opposite gender. It doesn't matter what level of perversion they're in. They like to pick good people. They like to pick people who are better than what. Leave these people alone, but obviously that's what evil does. Are they going to listen to me? Goodness, no. I'm just telling you as a human being, you, right, you need to know that you always have that power because it's your body. You can always medically check people what is in their body before you marry them. That's what I'm telling you. Right? The level of power you have is this. And obviously don't let them touch you. You get me? You need to first know morally they're good for you and then health-wise they're good for you. And other things too. You talk about other things like, do you want children? How many? You need to have the same goals so that then exactly not only you don't have problems, but also because you don't want that baggage of being with someone, getting attached, them divorcing because of little things like this. That marriage is not about. Children is a extra thing. Marriage is about companionship. It's just so you can fulfill your sexual desires. That's actually the reason for it. It's not about having kids. That's the perversion that's trying to make you into like a machine. Giving something normal like having kids and giving it a bad meaning. Something like you have to do. So that's why you have to honor the other person. They have individualities, their body. You have individualities, your body. What do you guys want to do? Are you okay with it? How many? If an accidental type of pregnancy happens, what are you going to do? How are you going to protect yourself from these countries that have gone crazy and took away abortion rights? You have to talk about these important things. But humans who are healthy obviously usually do that. The average one doesn't. And that's why they break up so much. They divorce so much. You get me? That's actually the way then to solve those problems. They need to talk and stop wasting their energy on just using the attraction level to just go with the flow. Because, God didn't make this life easy. He didn't make it easy for us. There's all these things that happen like health and pregnancy and childbirth. All of them are difficult and stressful and painful. So people need to be prepared, not with fear and stress, but you just need to be prepared the way you expect to be prepared, right? You're thinking about good things will happen. You have good energy, basically. You have faith God will take care of you like that. Even if he destines that you die like that, you're just ready. Obviously, pregnancy is a medical thing. It's like a disease. The way you would die from it, you can die from it too. There's like more than 50 reasons why you can have a health crisis. And people just think it's only miscarriage and it's only, right? The female dying. No, there's actually just generic things that can happen. High blood pressure, heart this, blood this. There's just all these, you get me, medical complications that you could have outside of pregnancy, right? You could just have those complications anyway, right? They happen as she's pregnant. So is she ready for that? Is she comfortable with that? Does she want to do it? You know, like that. A woman needs to ask herself those questions. And there's nothing wrong with them. This is a choice. Some people don't like children. Some people don't want to go through that medical situation that God puts their life in danger, obviously. So they're not immoral. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not strange biologically. It's a choice. Leave human beings alone and stop dishonoring their individuality. We're individuals. We are not, you know, couples and families. And no, we're individuals. Love and marriage is all just about companionship. And children is just that extra blessing. Do you want to raise them? Do you want to be a parent? Some people would say, I don't want to. They would say, I would never want to put my health in that situation. Okay. You ask God for guidance on then how you can enjoy your life and go over there. Because they're going to come after you, the perverts who always get married. Because good people obviously don't do bad things, right? They don't hurt you. It's only the perverted weird ones who usually get married to not look perverted. Weird, shallow, typical, toxic, evil humans who pressure people into everything else that you could be pressured into. They obviously will try to pressure you into this too, which they're going to come after you and be like, right? They're going to either way make it seem either like a sin, a immoral thing, a deficiency, a problem, or they'll just try to pressure you some other way. So you want God to protect you from them, right? Trying to pressure you. That's what I mean by you pray to God. I don't mean you need to pray to him. No, just go. If you don't want to find that, you're good to go. You don't need to do anything. I'm just saying you need to pray because we live, I told you, in a world where evil is the majority. It's just going to always want to control you. And it knows. Demons know the women who don't want children are very intelligent, very independent, and they have very good value, the very, very good reasons, and that the other females agree with those reasons. They just simply choose to go through it either way. You get me? We're all human beings. We can all sit down and talk about how God, these things he created are obviously bad. You get me? They're obviously horrible. They're not good, right? So therefore it's a suffering. Okay, we're not going to glorify them and say these are good things. Okay, so females do it because, get it? They just simply choose to simply say, it's okay. I know this could happen. I know this could happen, but it's okay. Like that. So it's a choice she made. She doesn't disagree with the ones who think it's scary or painful or bad. You get me? She's human too. She understands where they're coming from. It's just that she just made a choice despite that to just go through it and have 2-3 kids. That's her choice. So you see what I'm saying? Don't dishonor the other one over there who said, leave me alone. That's her choice. Humans need to stop acting like God over each other. These things are about God. If she does abortion that in God's eyes is sinful, God is supposed to deal with her. And the rest of the abortion, rarely is it a sin. You know? I just told you there's all these complications and things you have to save the life. Okay. I already talked about abortion in other episodes. But you get me? God is the one who creates these complications for her. God is the one who, just like, right, when you have other sicknesses or diseases, and you get into ER, you get into coma all of a sudden, or they rush you to ER all of a sudden because things get into the emergency level. Just as those situations, you agree God is the one doing that to the person, he's also the one doing that to the female who's having complications. And the doctor's like, in order to save you, we have to take the kid out. It's not even a kid. You know what I mean? The fetus. So why? See, this is how you know it's from the devil then when he says abortion is bad. Because it's only in this situation they don't like to treat it as a medical thing. They like to treat it as if what the doctor and she wanted, which is to get rid of the fetus, is somehow bad. When in other situations, when your life is at risk, they save your life and you thank them. You see, it's just to take away her rights in this case. You can't take away her rights because of another human being, which is this fetus. If it was actually alive and had its own body, exactly, you wouldn't do something to her because of them, right? Okay, so you can't do something to her, in this case, either for a fetus either. You get me? No one can have more power over your body than yourself. You're just simply being used by God to just help them come to this life. If there's complications, not only did God create it, so think about it. Guess what he obviously wants? Exactly. He obviously wants the kid to not come here. Because if he wanted that kid to be born, then God would not create complications. They act like the complications don't come from God. But only the pregnancy comes from God. They're so evil. The complication comes from him. He created sickness and disease and pain. Why is he creating a complication for her? if he wants the baby to just pop up. Come on, people, because it's just like sickness and disease of other types. He wants complication so he can show his greatness. He teaches human beings medical science, or medicine, sorry, not medical science, medicine. They learn from their creator how to then fix that situation. Yay, now they're both saved. You get me? Or he takes her life, or he takes both their life, and now it's like that other quality God has, where he obviously destined that we all should die. Okay, so someone has to die. You go some way, you go that way, and that one went that way. Like that. So stop mocking this gender and harassing them. They didn't choose to be pregnant. They didn't choose to be females. They didn't choose to have these situations. God created them with this. Don't abuse their individual human right to exit that situation if they don't want to, and to have their life saved when it's not their problem. Some sickness and all this weird stuff is happening to her. She's just a human like you as a male. Put in this situation by her creator. She doesn't know how to get out of it. All these doctors are trying to save this situation. You have to think from the person's perspective in order to see the moral way that our God would see things. You get me? I always see that God is the one doing this stuff for me. You know, I don't just say things like, oh, it's her choice. Cause I don't come from a dumb place. What I see when I see things like pregnancy and childbirth, I see God is responsible. You know? And that this gender never chose, never agreed to go through this. We never did anything. He made this decision. He does not take away our right to protect our interest. That's it. You're not going to use the fact that he chose this situation to then mean that then he just wants people to go through it. No. Just as he chose for us to have disease. He wants us to save the person, correct? When they have a disease. He wants you to help them, correct? He doesn't say to you, just because the disease came from him, let them die. What the hell's wrong with you? So he wants you to help her, get her life back. She's the patient. Look at my word. Patient is actually the person. Would you save a patient? Yes, because that's actually your job. Do you agree? So the woman is the patient, not the fetus. So they're not important. You're supposed to save her life. The goal is for the fetus to just go through God's natural process for them, where they just come naturally without burdening this patient. If they're bothering her, it's because God created that complication because he wants that baby to die, or he wants her to die, or he wants both of them to die, or it's just a complication and it's just that sort of suffering and they're going to be fine. You get me? Your job is to bring both. Your job is to help both of them. But your actual patient is the female. You're not going to treat the fetus as a patient. It's not a human. It's not here. She's the human. She's physically right in front of you. She has a body. So she's a human and she's a patient. You save the patient. When there's complications, she's bleeding too much, and right in those medical ways, what God taught his creation, he taught them kill the fetus, take it out. Then you do that. It's only the devil who comes in, enters your government, just like dictators like Pharaoh, and he's gonna tell you, I don't kill them. How dare you? No one killed anybody. They're not a real human like you and I. No one shot it. No one killed nobody. It's annoying. So that's what I'm saying, that no one honors and respects women for this pain and suffering they go through. It's a sacrifice. Sometimes they choose to have more kids because their husbands want it and they don't. Sometimes they take so many birth control pills, which are obviously, you should be careful with that because, right, it's a medicine. They usually have risks. Versus something natural, which is what a male is supposed to do at the end. He knows what to do at the end so she doesn't get pregnant. They usually don't do that. They're annoying as hell because they're usually evil as hell. So for that reason, women suffer more. They don't care what their wives want. They don't sit down and talk to them. They're just obsessed with, looking at another male. Oh, he has 5. I'm going to have 5. Why? You don't need 5. No. So it's just no one honors each other anymore. No one honors the body. No one looks at the pain, the suffering this gender goes through. They just want to accuse the fact that God made them go through it as if then that means they should just shut up and go through it. No. God creates solutions for us when He just creates natural processes like pregnancy. When there's a process He created that you would say is not good, right? It's obviously has some sort of pain or suffering. He creates ways out for us. He helps us. He doesn't tell us to just go with it. So just because He created pregnancy and childbirth doesn't mean He tells females to just go with it. No, He, in times that is not good for them, He gives them the right to not go through it. So it's something you do when you're happy. It's something you do with that man that you love. You just, it's out of happiness we do it. You cannot force and push people into it. Leave my gender alone, and very soon God will help them. It's not like there's enough good people anyway. So yeah, obviously there's a lot of good men out there who think like me. There's nothing to worry about. We have good and evil on both genders, even if it hurts them. You know, they sometimes vote and say and do things that hurt themselves. They're brainwashed in weird ways. But that's what I'm saying. You have to talk about it then, right? You have to talk about it with each other, what you want. So later on, you don't fight in a situation where it's like too late, or in a situation where children are born. You don't want to fight and traumatize them, and right? Doesn't mean it's intentional. I just mean it's the accidental traumatizing that happens to them if you guys separate and stuff. Just be smart as human beings. Do the best you can. You know, take precautions like you do when you go outside. You look both ways, then you walk, versus just going straight ahead. Like, just be smart. Just like when you drive, you look both ways, then you go, right? Do that with relationships like this. And the other thing I advise you guys is to just get daily health checkups. Always, just every year, just do the daily checkup. See how smart that is? Then you know this small little symptom you had right when it started, and you didn't necessarily notice it. Not everything can cause physical pain. You may not feel. There's some bacteria infections where there's no like sort of obvious way, but the stomach might feel a little pain, you know, sometimes. And there you go. We all feel stomach pain all the time. We eat bad food, things like that. Maybe you didn't wash your hands very well, like that. You don't always know what it is. So getting that daily health checkup personally, right, just as a personal adult, helps you. Then the doctor now tells you, oh my God, we have this infection, we have this disease that is in your body. Now you can, right, be much faster at taking all the options available to you, right? Either way, it's God helping you. It's not that human saving you. God created medicine. You get me? You're going to use that medicine God created to help yourself now. And it's more likely you're free from that problem rather than if you don't go on a daily checkup, it's going to have already probably grown into a big problem. You get me? Just common sense. You already know that, but I'm reminding you because this life is busy and you just might forget. That's one way you're also going to honor who you want to marry one day, right? That romantic partner, because you're always taking care of your health. It's not just for you. You're not going to just be like, let's go on a honeymoon. No, both of you go to the doctor and both of you sit in that room as the doctor tells you what the results are, so that there's that integrity, you know? Don't bring that, shouldn't we trust each other nonsense here. No, we have to be practical, okay? Humans are not angels. Just do the right thing. It doesn't mean you don't trust each other in that sense. Just do the right thing, okay? People have the right to know things in a better way than you just sometimes telling them in a lower level way. So just do the right thing and go to the doctor together. And when they give you the results, now both of you know this other person, what's wrong with them. That's what I advise. Take care of yourself.